Bro, best lift in an absolute minute just went down, man. Chest and back on the new split. If you saw the last video where I spoke, I put a picture up of that, bro. Oh my. I haven't hit chest and back since I was running the Arnold split like 2 years ago, man. But wow, that was an amazing pump. I'm not gonna lie, that was an amazing pump, and just I just know I grew from that. Right? It's like those workouts, you just want to aim to have those workouts so consistently where you just know you walk out and you're like, yep, 100% growing. But wanted to come and drop y'all. Wanted to come and drop some mental game, mental 2.0, baby. And something I was thinking about whilst I was driving to the gym and, a bit during my lift was the idea of attachment. You see, within this life, I'm just going to get straight to the point. I'm going to, try and keep it not too long because, that lift really took it out of me. Chest and back, man, two big major muscle groups, your fries your CNS, I'm not gonna lie, so bear with me. But attachment, you see, in life you do not own anything, right? Realistically, we are born into this world, and honestly, this might even get into a bit of the spiritual aspect of things, but when we are born into this world, we only really have 3 things, which is literally what I base 2.0 off of. We come in with our mind, we come in with a body, and we come in with our soul, right? It's those 3 things: mental, physical, spiritual, mind, body, soul, thoughts, actions, belief. We come in with those 3 things. Those 3 things are the only things that belong to us within this life. And so to think that as we progress and grow up and we obtain these things and we lose these things, to think that these things inherently belong to us is nothing short of immature. You see, one thing that really served me well within this journey was recognizing that when it came time to say goodbye to certain phases and seasons of life, to certain things, people, whatever, it's like you just have to accept it and realize that the time and place for that thing to occur has happened, right? To bring in God into the equation, because of course it's definitely important within this regard. Obviously this is more of like a mindset mentality thing, but God does play a role in that. When God places certain things within your life, you have to realize that He is the one placing it. Like, the world is giving you these things. You are not obtaining them necessarily. It's almost just like a temporary, tool for you to use. And it's not to say that, like people or things are like tools, right? No. It's just the fact that it's meant to serve you in some way, right? When certain people are placed in your life, when certain opportunities arise, it is because it is there for a reason. It is meant for you to use it, to extract the value that is inherent within that thing. And then once you extract the value, once you essentially get what it is that's needed out of it, and this isn't necessarily you like consciously thinking of this, it's more so just like the world just knows, like, okay, it's time, right? It's time for him to move on to this next season of life. Then that thing is removed from you, and you see so many people slip then into these negative thoughts. They slip into depression, anxiety, all these things, because they're so attached when things are taken away from them. The main problem is that when you do receive these things within your life, you don't want to be attached. You do not want to be too attached, because as I mentioned, the only things that truly belong to you and are in your control are your mind, your body, and your soul. Everything else it has just been given to you. And so it can easily be taken away. And that's what you need to realize. Whether it be, relationships, whether it be certain belongings you have. This world is just, it's temporary. We all die. And not to get all, philosophical and deep and stuff, but it's like, we all die. So there's really no point in attaching yourself to anything but your best self, right? Because that is in your control. Aligning yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, that is really the only thing in control within your life. Truly. That is the only thing worth being attached to. And anything else, you're essentially going to set yourself up for, disappointment and failure if you continue to attach yourself to just these things that are only meant to serve you for a particular time in your life. Right? It's not to say you can't, value your family, your friends. You can't attach yourself to these things, but as I mentioned, you have to know to attach yourself to the right things, especially because when you attach yourself, it creates those dependency issues, man. And as a result of that, I touch on this, in many mental 2.0 videos, where you begin to develop this scarcity mindset, where you're overly dependent on these external things when you become so attached, right? You might think that it's good to value, family and friends until maybe at a certain point you become overly dependent on them. Right? That can easily happen. It happened to me for sure, where I began to become so reliant on other people for my own well-being. And it was because I was attaching myself to these things instead of attaching myself to who I am internally, to the things that actually belong to me. My mental faculties, my able body, my spirit, my heart, the guiding force of my life. It is those three things that are the only things worth attaching to within this life. And so the main idea is to just relinquish ownership. Anything that you feel that you are, that you value highly, that you place so much importance on, really just re-examine that and acknowledge to yourself how it could be, potentially holding you back. Obviously for me, it was really relationships, whether it be, romantic or just, family, friends, where I felt like I was just so dependent on how others perceived me and just upholding other people's, standards and what they wanted out of me, right? I was so attached to that, and it held me back for so long within this journey. But it wasn't until I really began to understand the idea of just that, these things aren't worth being attached to. They really aren't. And so it's when when certain people come and go, or when certain seasons of life come and go, then it's like I just have to accept it, right? Instead of attaching, you just have to accept, because that's really what life is about. You just have to accept virtually everything that happens, because you never know. Like one day, a close family member could die. One day you could get in a bad accident and injure yourself. You never know. And when those things happen, you have to accept it. You can't be too attached, because when there's attachment, then, as I mentioned, you slip into that negative mindset, that negative mentality, because you fail to recognize when it's time to detach from certain things and to just simply accept. But yeah, we got a little bit deep there, honestly, man. I'm surprised I was able to really hammer that down after that lift, man. My CNS is actually fried. But hey, if y'all got value from that, drop a like, drop a comment. Feedback always appreciated. How this might relate to your current life, your circumstances, whatever. I want to hear it, man. I really want to develop this community of like-minded individuals, because that's my intention with this channel. And so if I'm able to hear stories or just insights from you guys as well, man. It's like, it's a win-win, you know. But hey, about to get in this meal, carb up, about to destroy probably like a shake and just some fruit, a lot of fruit, you know, just whatever I'm in the mood for, whatever my heart desires, baby, because that's how we live. That's how we live through 2.0, the guiding force of our lives, our spirit, our heart. But hey, see y'all.